Quick housekeeping before we start this. This presentation is for educational purposes only. It is not individualized investment, tax, or legal advice. Insurance and annuity products are subject to terms, conditions, and carrier underwriting. Guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Tax laws can change and vary by individual situation. Be sure to always contact your financial, tax, or legal professional before making changes. And if you're watching this, though, we probably have already talked about a fixed indexed annuity, and that's why you're here. Today is really just understanding about the role of the FIA and how it fits into your retirement plan, not a sales pitch. So we want to ask a question up front. What was the sacrifice for? What was all that savings for, right? And some of you, you may have planned for that fast lane, the luxury cars, the big experiences, travel as much as possible while you're retired. Some of you chose the passing lane, just upgrading the house, winter place in Florida, maybe, just a better lifestyle, not necessarily excess. Some of you are just choosing the right lane. At most, it's a new set of golf clubs from Carl's, but very simple. Preserve your assets for your family as much as possible and take care of your long-term care, take the long-term care stress out of the equation so they don't have to deal with it. None of these are wrong, but retirement really is the moment to rethink the strategy and not double down on what you've been doing and what worked while you were working. Okay. So that's really, the problem is that, most people, not most people, a lot of people don't realign the strategy, when the goals change. So I hear this a lot. I'm set. We've got a financial advisor, and that's great. It's perfect. If you do, you're probably not watching this video if you have a good financial advisor. That's a good thing. Many people here do, but again, the problem isn't the advisor; it's the role that they're playing. So think about the old Lions teams with Barry Sanders or the Tiger teams that were built around Miguel Cabrera. Incredible offense, but they never won titles because there was no defense. Retirement works the same way. Growth alone doesn't win the game anymore. Look at the questions on the slide. Can you guarantee that you won't lose a dime? Can you guarantee that you won't pay fees? What is your Roth conversion and IRMA surcharge plan for Medicare? If you're paying, fees, do these questions, they should have easy answers, especially the IRMA and Roth conversion questions. Those are retirement taxes in disguise. The real question here is, do you have a defensive strategy or just an offensive one? And that's where no fee planning and protection strategies start to enter the big picture. So I do want to slow down here. This is not, this is foundational. This is not optional at M1. We care really just as much about you keeping what you earn first. And we want to make sure that's why we partner with IRMA Solutions. This is a very key step here to identify future IRMA surcharges on your Medicare Part B and D before they happen. Because Medicare penalties, they can show up years later when it's too late to fix them. But this is the part, again, I really, really want to stress that we like to go through this step as we're looking at the fixed indexed annuity. We have also partnered with Trust and Will, and this was very intentional. They've got over 1 million satisfied clients nationwide. Every fixed indexed annuity client receives a trust-based estate plan. And this is not a generic will or just a worksheet. In Michigan, this is a $1,000 to $3,000 value that we provide for you at no extra cost when you're placing a fixed index annuity with us. So there's no charge. We include it because we believe that income planning without estate planning, it fails families. And if you have a complex situation, business ownership, special assets, blended family, there may be a small nominal legal fee that we have. But for the majority of you watching this, you don't have that. This will be included at no extra cost to you, which is really, really cool. So what's the rule of 100? And let's talk about defense because that's the role of an insurance agent. The great teams figured this out. The bad boys Pistons, they didn't beat Jordan with offense. They won titles with defense. The Red Wings, they didn't start winning Stanley Cups in the 90s until they focused on defense. In fact, in 1987, the goalie, Mike Vernon, he was the playoff MVP. And retirement, it works the same way. You don't win with offense alone. And the rule of 100, it's a defensive rule that takes your age, it subtracts from 100, and that's roughly how much you should still have in the market risk, okay? So at age 65, about 35% should be in the market for market growth, and about 65% should be protected. That's designed for income. Also, designed for help with long-term care risk. This isn't about being conservative. It's about protecting the years that matter most. So there are, 3 key ages to reassess your strategy. It's age 59 and a half, when you have penalty-free access, at age 65, when your Medicare and IRMA surcharges begin. And at age 75, for some of you, this may be 73, when your required minimum distributions, your RMDs, kick in. So most people are around 64 years old that are watching this, or right around there. So it makes this decision time sensitive, not theoretical. Now let's look at the types of annuities that are out there and why M1 focuses on the FIA, the fixed index annuity. So let's be clear, something up first. Not all annuities are on the same, okay? They're all on a different spectrum. On one end, you've got variable annuities up there in the upper right-hand corner. They're market-based. They're similar to mutual funds. They're very high risk, high fees. They kind of defeat the purpose of principal protection. On the other hand, you've got income annuities. They're very safe, but very often no cost, but they're very similar to Social Security. They're old school. They're inflexible. They have poor protection against inflation. I mean, honest truth, they're boring, but they're predictable. We focus on the middle, the fixed indexed annuities, where you'll see no market losses, no fees. Again, you get to participate in the market upside, commonly tied to the S&P 500. They're designed for growth and for future income. But here's something what most people don't realize. In Michigan, you also have an added layer of protection of up to $250,000 per carrier through the State Guaranty Association. You're never going to get that kind of protection in a mutual fund or an IRA, okay, or or a 401k. So it's nice. It's kind of like an added layer of, say, like similar to FDC protection on a savings account. Now, how does the fixed indexed annuity work? So I want to ask you a quick question, and please, pause for this. If your money would you prefer that your money grew, stayed the same, or lost value? And if you could eliminate one of those 3, which would it be? Well, yeah, of course, right? You'd want to eliminate the loss of value. Very obvious answer, okay? And that's exactly what a fixed indexed annuity is designed to do. When the market goes up, you lock in gains. When the market goes down, you lose nothing and there are no fees. Look at the chart. You'll notice that the solid purple line, that goes up, it shows the market increases, shows market growth, okay? And then you'll see also there's the red dotted line, which shows market losses. You'll notice that the blue dashed line, this is your base. It never goes backwards, okay? It only goes up, only increases. So those yellow circles that you see, they're like a key fob. So basically every time the market goes up, you lock it in, you lock in gains. When the market drops, the doors stay locked. You don't follow that red dotted line. We're not trying to beat the market here, okay? We're trying to build a strategy to avoid bad timing decisions, forward progress, and without market losses. So where can the money come from for these? I mean, just about anywhere. We don't want to get too deep into the mechanics of funding these, but they can be funded from employer plans like 401ks or market-driven accounts, like IRAs or individual stock accounts. Liquid accounts like savings, money market, low interest CDs. You can even roll over annuities via a 1035 exchange that may allow you to move money without triggering taxes. This step is especially important for tax control or avoiding future IRMA surcharges, or even managing Roth conversions. Really strategically keeping income in the right brackets really even matters more in Michigan, because starting in 2026, Michigan no longer taxes IRA distributions. Plus, you've got the $6,000 senior tax deduction under the OBB. So again, great time to review, looking at old rollovers, inherited money, proceeds from land, property sales. The goal is simple here. You want to minimize taxes, avoid IRMA surcharges, and reposition the money intentionally so you don't lose a dime and aren't paying fees. Now, a little bit of a homework assignment. This slide's critical. I strongly encourage you to read the article linked at the bottom. What you're seeing here is a real world example. On a roughly $600,000 401k, the annual fees total at just over $10,000 per year. And you'll never get a bill for these. These fees, they're quietly deducted every day, every year. And to put that number in perspective, a $10,000 a year premium, I mean, if that would be more than enough to cover a married couple on the Cadillac of Medicare plans. Now, fees, they're not evil, but unmanaged fees, what happens is they compound against you. So when you're working and contributing, you can sometimes outrun these fees. It doesn't matter as much. But when you stop contributing, especially in down years, the fees, they can be devastating. So really, again, that's the homework. Pull your statement. Start to look at all the all-in fees, and don't guess. Verify them, because that number may really shock you in what you're paying. Okay, so 25 to 28, we've got a federal tax and federal and Michigan tax considerations here. Almost finished, but this part really, really, really does matter. There's a real planning window right now, and it runs through 2028. In Michigan, the rules are changing in your favor for 2025. Roughly 20 tax year, or roughly 75% of IRA income is no longer taxed. 2026, about 100%. Most of your IRA income is no longer taxed. Individual situations apply. Plus, you factor in the new $6,000 senior tax deduction under the One Big Beautiful Bill that creates an opportunity here. But the timing is everything. Okay, a poorly timed Roth conversion, it can erase these benefits, trigger that IRMA surcharge, or push you into higher tax brackets unnecessarily. Every situation is unique. Filing status, age, Medicare timing, income sources, although all of that stuff matters. And quick side note here, did anyone ever see this cartoon with Ringo Starr and the tax bill? I always thought when I was a kid it was the Flintstones, but I am yet to find. I just found the picture. Didn't find the episodes. Anyways, sorry. Taxes, they always seem just to show up in these uninvited, and point is, this window, it's not going to last long. It's not going to last forever. It's a great planning window if you're turning 60, turning 65. And again, planning now, it beats mistakes later, and that's really what we're trying to avoid. So just to kind of bring this all home, what was the money for? All right, we asked, what was the money for? We asked you that here at the beginning, and kind of finish where we started here. Over the years, some people, their goals may have changed. Okay, so maybe it's not the luxury car anymore. It's becoming a full-time, just becoming a full-time world traveler. That's fine enough. But you want to add a healthcare pension. Okay, still just start out with a simple trip to Ireland. Maybe it's not moving to Florida, but maybe it's remodeling the master suite that was paid for with a well-timed Roth conversion. Or maybe the lifestyle is already covered, and you decided, what, I'm going to regrip the clubs and just buy a new golf bag at Carl's and really double down on the growth. So I'm leaving my family as much as possible, while solidifying my long-term care strategy. So you're not burdening them with that. None of these are wrong. Okay, none of these are wrong. The mistake is not aligning the strategy with your goals. And if you're not 100% clear on what the money is for, which dollars are for growth, which dollars are for protection and for income, that's the conversation that we should have. So please shoot us a text, call us 248-771-3161. No pressure, just clarity around the strategy for your goals. And we look forward to speaking with you.